All right, so my name is Sean Hayes. I'm with Northwest Fencing Academy, and this is Ryan Vann, one of the instructors at Northwest Fencing Academy. We're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to show you a sword cut, we're going to show you a sword thrust, we're going to show you the defenses against those. We're going to get you all excited about having a weapon in your hands, and then for most of the time you won't. Because we're going to make you do body mechanics exercises that underline all these actions. However, as candy at the end, we'll go ahead and get those out, and we'll practice the actions with a weapon in hand. So it'll be a stick instead of a sword, but the same mechanics will apply to it. Sound all right? Okay, cool. So one of the things that we're going to get at with these actions and exercises is what we refer to as true times in European martial arts. And that's the idea that, for example, boxing is the best example. If we're boxing and I step in like this, that's a bad idea, right? Because I'm just bringing my target in and my weapons are doing nothing. So it's sword. Let's go to the next time. Make your first attack in the false time, please. Sure. So he's going to make his first attack in a false time. Okay? So, right here. That's pretty obvious what's going on there, right? He's just stepping forward into reaching my weapon. And I can hit him in what's referred to as the time of the hand. I don't have to move my body. I can use the fastest thing I've got, which is my hand. Okay? To attack me safely, he's got to use, and I'm going to have him demonstrate it slowly and I won't parry, the time of the hand, body, and foot. Where the weapon is generating power coming up first, and that's the thing I need to worry about. If I try just to hit him in the middle of that, some way, I just get hit. So what I have to do, let's go to a real time now. I have to cut through that cleanly with good mechanics and good time because the weapon is my concern. Faster, please. I've got to be able to cut right through that, have power generation, good structure, and all those things, and he needs those as well. Let's do an exchange. Low down. This applies to thrusts. I need to be able to move in a way that's going to defend me adequately. I'm going to actually blow this one, so don't really stab me hard. Okay. If I start moving my feet before my weapons to try to accomplish my goal, I'm just going to get hit. So I've got to move them in the proper time. Hands, feet, okay, slow motion. Hands, feet, okay. Does everybody see that? Does that make basic sense? Okay, cool, we can proceed. All right, first thing we're going to do is shake hands. So we're going to start setting our stances, and most of your stances are going to work just fine, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Ours are pretty similar. We're going to set a distance where we can reach and shake hands, staying upright and not bending over. To do that, to be able to reach, I can't just reach my arm out. You see how I'm not quite there? I've got to get my hip into it so that I can complete that. That's also going to lend power to whatever I do. Right there. I can do it on the other side. Same thing. If I just reach and I'm not getting my hip into it, I can't get there, but with my hip I can. So, the timing is important. Hand leads, and it's like, can I switch sides? No, I actually just lead with that in the back, right on the back. It's like the slack coming out of a rope in a way. Okay? His hand starts. As the hand moves, the shoulder engages, the hip engages, the leg engages, and he moves forward. See that? Okay. Here's what you're going to do. We'll just go ahead with the standard right hand handshake. Left foot forward, right foot back, facing each other. And you're going to have to play with getting the measure right, okay? So that you can reach in and shake hands, staying nice and upright like this. Everybody see that? Questions? Okay, let's pair off and do that. Looks good. We're going to do 2 more exercises off this, and maybe we'll throw in a little extra thing on one of the exercises. But basically, everybody's moving really well with that. All of your arts have some form of engagement like this. Am I right? You've been taught this in various ways. Okay. The handshake drill is just one of those that we use to just kind of express it regularly. It's a good warm-up drill. So now we're going to take that handshake drill and we're going to turn it into something a little bit different. Oh, back here. So, regular handshake. So Ryan's going to set up and he's going to hold his hands open like this. And there's a specific reason for that I'm not quite going to cover at the moment. I'm going to be here and my hands are going to be in a palms to the inside position like this. And my job now is to drive him back. Now, his job is not to completely stop me, because he could. Really, he could. Okay? His job is to provide enough resistance so that I can develop the extension of the arm, the engagement of the hip and shoulder, a little bit more than that, please, so that I can generate power appropriately. And I want you to notice that my arm is making a continuous extension. It's not faltering. Can you give me too much so it falters? Okay. It's not faltering in any way. Okay. He's just going to provide enough power so I get this nice smooth drive. Ooh, slippery. Like that. Now there's a thing I'm doing that you might not be seeing. Let's get up here, right above the line. As I make this motion here, I'm actually driving my hand towards his center. That's helpful to me. So you can go ahead and do that as well. So, in here. Out. Notice the engagement down the chain. Arm, shoulder, hip, drive. Arm, shoulder, hip, drive. Everybody see that? Okay. Now the person in this position, your job is not to confound them. Give them just enough resistance so they can do it against that resistance, but not so much that they struggle. So communicate with your partner on this one. Questions? Okay, let's go. And something that helps is if you pitch so this can get a little bit back. There we go. I'm going to do it just solo for a second. So one of the things you want to have happen is this arm to make just a smooth, continuous extension, and you want it long. Not shoulder height straining, but you want it to go out long. So just imagine if you're doing a solar plexus punch, boom, right? And the target's here and you want to actually get through it, for example. That's the kind of thing we're thinking here. Does that make sense? Okay, go ahead and do it again. Sorry. I want to make clear why we're holding the hands in the positions that I'm saying. First of all, if we're making a sword cut, this is a good approximation in the exercise of where the hands are as they're coming through the action. Okay, so that's thing one. Thing two is that if I have to step in, let's do the abrazare arm check. Give me that as a lead. Yeah, just step forward with that as a lead. Right. Okay, so for some reason, there are various actions where I might move in to check him, for example. Okay, if I do it this way, and he's pushing back, go ahead. It's fairly hard. Okay, if I do it this way, because he's pushing against my tricep, go ahead.
It's not work, boss.
I can hold this for a very long time. So what I'd like you to do is experiment with this. I'm just below his elbow, overhand. He's going to push in the vector of my forearm, okay? I'm going to try to resist it. Just really push it, just really. Yeah. Doesn't work so well. Now he's going to push again in the vector of my forearm.
I can feel his back foot.
It's connected up through here and down to there in this position right there. Make sense? Okay. Relative strength will have something to do with it. If Pete Carlick was here, there's no way I could hold him. Y'all know Pete, right? So, get with somebody about your own size for this one. We're going to do it just quick. Sense of the strength of this position right here. Okay. Now that is actually a specifically useful martial technique right there. We use it when, for example, the sword pommel is coming around, closing the line up here. You check their arm, and then there's the pommel strike. We're not going to do that today, but maybe some other time. So this is a good, strong position. It connects everything back to your core, to your center right there. So while these things are useful in your various arts, and they absolutely are useful, this is what we need for the things we're doing today. Okay? We're going to do one last thing. It's a little bit of a timing exercise. handshake and escape. Okay. So we're going to check our measure for the handshake drill. Okay, that's good. Now, he's going to initiate. As soon as he does, I'm going to initiate. And as soon as I see his hand closing on mine, I'm going to disappear. Anybody have older brothers? Your older brothers did this to you all the time. Mine did. Okay. He starts. I watch it, and then I disappear. He's got to follow me when I move and not before. He doesn't get to move until I move. So it's a timing exercise. Everybody see that? Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. It's probably easiest if we all run this way.
Yeah.
Everybody get a sense of the timing in that exercise?
Yeah.
Let's just look at it one more time. Okay. So I'm the mean older brother. I'm holding candy or something. Okay. Oops, sorry. He starts, right? I come out and then I move as the hands are about to touch, thereby making him move when I move in response to me off of a reading of what my body does. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you want to try that again? Yeah, let's try that again. So remember, as soon as his hand starts moving, so does mine, but I wait until he's almost got my hand before I say hop on. Got that? Okay, one more time, real quick. Looks good. So we use that one. I mean, it's a general exercise for timing. We also want everybody to get all the body mechanics of movement correct in there. All of those things coming together properly. But it's a general exercise for timing. It also happens to mirror reasonably well the good, decent moment to start making a sword cut. Without getting into too much detail, I can move my foot earlier or later within a small range for tactical reasons. But just a good general sort of all-purpose movement there. Next, we get sticks. Mark brought some out over here and over here. Everybody gets one. Go ahead. The stick and the two-handed sword is, reasonably substantial. By the way, how much does this weigh?
40 pounds?
5 pounds.
5 pounds.
2, fraction over 3.
Okay.
Accurate historical weight, a little bit over 3 pounds for the whole thing. Really, seriously, who goes into battle with a piece of rebar or a crowbar, You need something that you can maneuver, right? So that's what the longsword is. You're going to use the stick as a stand-in for it. And one of the things that we're going to do is explore the rotation point on the sword. So you remember when we were coming forward this way? The hand is going to come to a similar position and drive out. So starting from the weapon over my shoulder, give yourself a loose grip, please, okay? Let's have everybody aim this way. Let's have everybody who's behind somebody step back a little bit further. Very good. Let's have people closer to the front move a little closer to the front. I like that. Okay. So now I'll be standing sideways, but you'll be moving this direction, okay? Ryan will be moving the same direction that you will be. So I've got the weapon over my shoulder. The first thing I'm doing is pulling the handle down, okay? Because I want to accelerate the end of the sword. The end of the sword is what's going to cut. So I want to accelerate the end of the sword. As I pull the handle down, I'm getting the hip into it, because the hand is starting to move forward. And the moment that my blade starts to leave this plane and go forward here, where the tip is starting to accelerate, that's when I move. Okay? And end with the point up like this for now. Okay? Don't get those points near the tatami. Okay? So starting right here. Remember, hands, shoulder and hip engagement, step. Hands, shoulder and hip engagement, step. Okay. Hands, shoulder and hip engagement, step. Okay, let's watch this. This weapon is somewhere around here. Okay, somewhere like that. But when I apply force to one end, the point of rotation is not the same as the balance. The point of rotation is further out. Right, like that. This point of rotation moves linearly forward in the cut. And you can see that the end of the sword acts like a catapult, throwing a piece of shot. Okay, so it's accelerating, and that's what makes a sword cut cut. That motion right there. Don't let the hands raise up. Cut to here. One of the reasons for that, I'm going to do this really slowly, so is if I'm constantly cutting like this, okay, actually I want you to attack the hands. Gotcha. If I'm constantly throwing my hands up, they're a really great target, okay? Plus the sword's motion is less efficient. If he tries that same thing when my hands are down, I'm good. I'm covered right here. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Start again. Hands down, pivot the hip in, reach and step. Now, don't step backwards. Put it on your other shoulder. Hands down, pivot the hip, reach and step. Next shoulder. Hands down, pivot the hip, reach and step. Ryan, tell me when we're running out of room there. Okay, ready? Hands down, pivot the hips,